Welcome back, everybody, to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. Today we're going to continue the trial in Case 3. Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So, what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well, and it ended on a giant mystery. That's true. And we still haven't solved a single part of it yet. You okay, Nick? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I saw that little flash of doubt in your eyes? No, that wasn't doubt, that was, determination. Why don't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You'd better get going to the defendant's seat. Roger! Don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you. Hey, pal! Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Quit stressing Maggie out! She doesn't need that! How did you know she was stressed? I was watching through the doorway. Oh. You look like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Yeah, maybe this'll help. Huh? Have you taken up aromatherapy too? Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me that you don't remember this thing. Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles. This is the small bottle that turned up in Trampion's kitchen a couple of days ago. Wow, look at all these little bottles. Oh, they're aromatherapy oils. Got so many they're overflowing onto the floor. Hey, wait a minute. There's one bottle that's different from all the others. Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label either. And it doesn't smell. We finally got the analysis results back from the lab. So, what is it? Is it the poison? I'm afraid not, pal. It's medication. Medication? Yeah, for ears. Topical use only, apparently. For ears? You mean? Yeah, it's the medication Glenn Elg was using for his ruptured eardrum. What was Glenn Elg's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that? Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour and they might have gotten something on the prints, but... that's going to weaken its impact as a piece of evidence. Okay, pal, this is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today, got it? Today's trial. I'm gonna expose that guy for what he's done, or my name isn't Phoenix Wright. Or my name isn't Orville Redbacher. Wait, what? Let's just start this thing. God damn it. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. Then we'll get underway at once. Yesterday, we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo. He claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems. The mark on the rim of the cup shows that the victim drank from it with his right hand, but according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Thank you, Mr. Godot. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear. It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick? Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it. You've lost me already, Mr. Godot. Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You've got to change with the times. That's one of my rules. Are you implying that you've resolved these contradictions? You know the answers to these riddles? The old guy wasn't just throwing seed in here. He was throwing us off the scent. And today I'll prove it. Very well. Let the first witness take the stand. And you are? Oh, bonjour, everyone!
I am Jean Armstrong, the owner and head chef of La Tribulations restaurant. Enchanté!
Forgive me for asking, witness, but are you a woman?
Oh la la, monsieur! As you can see, I am la birthday perky gentleman, no?
On the day of the incident, you were in Tribulations' kitchen. Isn't that right?
It's you, monsieur!
Everything feels right.
Let him chug away at that coffee.
Huh. Wow, he's totally unfazed! Doesn't anything intimidate this guy?
Very well. Your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened on the day at Tribulations.
Oui, volontiers. When it all happened, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decos that day. Like having a large mirror between la tables, for example. Oui, perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. La cup, la earpiece, and la glasses, he would have seen everything in reverse, no?
A mirror?
Oui, un grand mirror, la most enormous mirror.
And suddenly the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it.
That would explain the coffee cup and earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front.
What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
It is way too early in the morning. It's like... I'm recording this at like 6:30 a.m. What the hell? It's like the game knows me or something. I don't know about that. Objection! The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question, you can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear, without a doubt. So, to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw that as a reflection in a mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually worn on the victim's right side. Exactly, you see, monsieur. Now that you think about it, it's not so hard, no? Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head?
Order! Mr. Wright is correct! If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over his right eye.
Objection!
How bitter. Trite, you should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time.
Are we talking about your coffee or something completely different?
You don't understand the way the witness thinks.
How he thinks?
You remember this, I presume?
The I broke the vase sorry apology Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony.
Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elg?
Clearly it's the victim's eyepiece.
And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man. I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Do you hear? His left ear. Huh. Well, Trite?
That's the worst but best impression of Kudo ever. Wow, I really thought he was old seedy for a minute there. That was good.
Enough! I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony.
Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of a contradiction you found was just a rash.
A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We're all ears.
Oui, I can explain. Please, if you will look at la plans of la restaurant.
Alright.
Alors, is everyone sitting comfortably? La mirror, it was in the middle of la restaurant, dividing the two halves. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of la victim. That was la seat at the That was la seat at the table next to la victim's. That was where la old man was sitting. After la terrible incident occurred, I moved la mirror so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else.
I see no problems with the explanation we've just heard. From the table next to the victims, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror.
What a naughty little coquette I am, confusing all the men like this.
Don't worry about it. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there again.
Ah, I hate that guy.
You said you didn't touch anything apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that?
Volontaire, of course.
Very well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please.
Well, if that was a thing... Let's take a look at this here. Something on here kinda bothers me, and I would like to tell the court. Objection! This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we have heard, Your Honor.
The crime photo?
Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist.
What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright?
Should not exist? Ah, sounds like you're describing yourself, Trite.
Now then, if the defense would please clarify its statement. What is the something that should not exist in this photo?
That'd be this. I think it's pretty obvious that this is what should not be in the picture.
The vase? What possible connection does that have with this witness's testimony?
Your Honor, I'm telling you that there should have been no vase on this table. Because it very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. Where is it? Take that! There is one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all.
Objection!
Don't be an idiot, Trite. That's impossible. That seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from.
Exactly. There is only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Tribulations that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie. But you...
Objection!
Don't try to confuse the court, Trite. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene.
Unfortunately, Mr. Godot, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary. In his own words, I did not touch anything else except the mirror.
Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself?
I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day.
In light of this revelation, we returned back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece and an ear in which he couldn't hear?
Ah, you only get one shot in life. There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Wright, then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw?
If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it.
Are you going to be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick?
There's more than just one contradiction, Maya.
What do you mean?
Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. And I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up.
Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer.
Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradictions in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple. This case is riddled with contradictions. Yet, there is one very simple answer that clears them all up.
And what is that?
The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events!
What?
Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter, a phony pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake. Jesus.